Have you ever sent a demo to a record label and got no reply? Or that polite little thanks but not for us? They basically mean the same thing, and I would know because for years that was me. No replies, rejections, over and over. But now I've had records signed, I gained over 1 million streams in 2025, and just last week one of my songs got played on BBC Radio 1. So in this video I'm going to break down what those emails actually mean, why labels aren't responding to you, and the 4 shifts that took me from ignored to getting real industry attention. And honestly, most producers get this completely wrong. They often think if my music sounds good, then labels will find me. But that's not really how the music industry works. And actually, one reason you might not be getting replies might have nothing to do with your music at all. And once I realized this, everything started to change. So let's start with the uncomfortable truth. And stick around because at the end I'm going to tie it all together with a personal example of how this played out in real life. When a label doesn't respond to you, there's usually 2 real possibilities. And the first one surprises most people, which is that the label might just not have listened to your demo. I know it sounds harsh, but it's just the reality because labels get sent so many demos. There's portals, SoundCloud links, DMs, and it all piles up. And the truth is, a lot of demo emails just don't get opened. Not because they hate your music, not because they're ignoring you personally, they simply don't have the time to listen and respond to everyone. But let's say they did listen. Now this leads to the second possibility, which is that they listened, but it's just not quite for them. And some labels will listen and reply to you, often saying, this is good, but not quite for us. Or some of them will listen and they won't reply at all. And that just comes back to the previous point about not having enough time to get back to everyone. But that not for us reply can actually mean a lot of different things. So let me break those down. Sometimes it's simply a sound mismatch. It's that your demo isn't representing the sound that the label is going for. And labels are their own brands, they have their own identity, they know what styles of music they want to sign. So if your demo doesn't exactly hit what they're going for, then it's just not really going to get signed. So your track might actually be good, but it's just that the label you sent it to isn't pushing that sound at the moment. Other times the idea of the track might be there, but the production is not quite at the level that the label expects. And again, that doesn't mean that your record is bad, it's just that they're comparing your demo to the songs of other demos and other people on their roster already. And if their production level is up here, and we're sending demos that production level is down here, then they're probably not going to move forward with you at that point in time. But what I have found is that if you keep sending demos to record labels, keep getting feedback, and keep getting better and better, then eventually one song might land and you might get a signing. Then there's another factor that a lot of producers overlook, and that's that their music might be really good, but there's no online presence. Labels aren't just signing songs anymore, they're signing artists. An artist needs to have some form of identity. So they might listen to your song, go check out your socials, and then they're asking themselves, is there some artist identity here? Is there something that we can build around? And this doesn't mean you have to have loads and loads of followers. This just means that they can see that you're trying to build a world around your music. And if they like your music and they like the world that you're building, then it's going to give it a much better chance of you getting that record signed, or at least just moving forward with that label. And just a final point here is that occasionally it's just the wrong time for the label. So you send a demo, but their roster is full, their release schedule is full, and they're just not looking to take on anyone new or release any more songs at that point in time. So in that case, a rejection doesn't really have anything to do with you or talent, it's just that the timing is not quite right for them. Once I actually understood what was happening behind those rejection emails, I realized I had to completely change the way that I approached this. But before we get into the shifts that actually help change things for me, if you're a producer trying to navigate the music industry, then you might gain a lot from this channel. So come join me here and subscribe to this channel. We've got more real talk on producing and the music industry. There's loads about this world that no one really explains, and that's what I'm here for. Okay, so here's some things that actually started making a difference for me, and they're things that you can get started with right away. The first one was simply being much more honest about my music. And what I mean by that is that as producers, we often make a lot of music, but it can be quite easy to get attached to any song that you've put time and effort into. You might spend hours on a track. So for you, it means something purely by the amount of effort you've put in. But it doesn't always mean that that song is worthy enough to get signed. Remember, labels are comparing your demos to the demos of other people that are sending them in and the artists that they already sign and work with. So if you're sending them something that's okay, not great, then they're probably not going to move forward with it. So a really simple way to fix this is that I just started making loads more music and then only sending them the absolute best. So that means out of 10 demos that I make, I may only send 1 or 2 to that record label. That means every demo you send to a record label, you know it's going to hit from the best of your ability, and that's going to put you in a great position. Now the second shift was really understanding the labels themselves. For a long time I would sort of treat sending demos to labels like a bit of a lottery. You're kind of sending them all off and just seeing if anyone bites. The labels have their own specific identities. They have the music they like, they have a vibe that they like, and they have goals for going forward, what kind of genres they want to tap into, what kind of styles they want to sort of incorporate within their brand. So before sending a demo to a record label, I started to ask myself, does this genuinely sound like something that this label would release? Not do I like this label, is what I'm doing going to fit in with them? And if the answer wasn't clearly yes, then I wouldn't send it to them, because that would sort of be just like asking for a rejection. That said, that's like assuming that you've got a connection already with someone in the music industry, someone that you can send demos to and you will get feedback. But I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that feel like you just can't get past that kind of barrier between yourself and the A&Rs at this record label. And I know what that feels like. It can feel like an impossible task to kind of go over the threshold and actually connect with other people. And this next shift is something that makes a lot of producers feel really uncomfortable, but it's because it really matters. And that's building up those connections. And I'm not talking about kind of generic networking and just sending people demo links and that kind of thing. I'm talking more about becoming part of a scene, because becoming part of a scene naturally means you'll make more connections. It might look like supporting other artists in that genre, either at gigs, going to their events, or online reposting their music. It might be just talking to other producers and eventually one of them knows an A&R and then they put you in touch, that kind of thing. And the reason this works is because if someone recognizes your name and then you send them a demo, they're much more likely to listen to it. There's huge power in that shift, and I'm going to prove it to you at the end of this video when I talk about my personal example. And finally, something that a lot of producers underestimate is your artist presence. You don't need a huge following, that's not what labels are looking for, but they do need to see that you're building something. Some identity, some visuals, some kind of world around your music. Because when someone likes your demo, the first thing they'll do is check out your profile. And if they can immediately understand the artist behind the demo, then it just makes saying yes a lot easier. So let me show you how this actually played out for me in real life. And it proves that the things that we've talked about in this video actually work. So I delved into the melodic house scene and I started engaging with different producers online. I live in the UK and I was chatting with a producer in America. And over time we built up a bit of a rapport. And then eventually he decided that he was going to introduce me to an A&R, a record label which I was really keen to release with. Now that introduction didn't magically get me signed, but it did mean that my demos were more likely to get opened. And when I sent that email, a few important things were already in place. I had some really strong demos to send, songs that I've been working on for a while and refining over time. I knew that they actually fit the sound of that record label. I'd been listening to their catalogue and comparing them to my music. And when they checked my socials, there was at least some artist identity there. Some visuals, some consistency, something that made the project feel real. So when they listened, everything lined up and I got them signed. And I repeated that process over and over with them. And now I just send demos through WhatsApp, they just give me voice note feedback, and suddenly that huge, big barrier that was in front of me has been broken down, and I feel like I've got some access to people who can give me real feedback, and if they want to, they can actually sign my music. I think this just goes to show that one solid demo and one solid connection can go a long way. But to get there, you have to kind of line up a lot of things to make it just so much easier for a record label to say, yes, we can invest in this artist. And that's what I'm all about. I just want to help other people to do what I'm trying to do, which is put yourself in the best possible position you can be to get signed or self-release and just build a career out of your music. So if you're still at the end of this video, then you're an absolute legend. Thank you for sticking around. I got loads more videos like this coming up, and yeah, I just want to help you out as much as possible. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your day and I'll see you soon. Take care.